Hello, hello, hello. It is Sandwhichpants here today, September 2nd, 2022. And yeah, we've got some stuff to talk about. Let me tell you. Um I don't know if any of you saw Joe Biden's speech last night, but that's actually the main thing we're going to be going over. So, I'm going to give it some time before we actually jump into it. Hit that live button and you can see me now. Hello, hello. How are we doing today? Hopefully we're doing all right. So, what are the big things here? Another thing I want to talk about while I've got this started is the water crisis in Jackson. As a matter of fact, let's pull this up. Let's go here. So, repairs have begun. I'm looking for the Tate Reeves. Yeah. There was a story that I'd read uh, about how for a couple of years now, the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, whose name I don't remember right now, wait a second. How do you. Is it Chokwe Lumumba? Chokwe? I don't know how you pronounce his name. I'm gonna say Lumumba, Mr. Lumumba. Wow, 93% of the vote. Sweet. All right. So I didn't really know much about this guy, but it makes even more sense. The mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, is a left-leaning, non-white man who has been asking Tate Reeves, this guy right here, for help. I think he's even asked Phil Bryant for help, who was the governor before. Since bears do not get to just unilaterally decide. Is he American? Chocolate? Yeah. Chocolate's American. Mr. Lumumba? Uh, Guaranteed he's an American. Now, was he a natural born citizen? Who knows? Not me. However, you don't have to be a natural born citizen to become a mayor or a governor. Only the president. Let's see. Where was he born? Detroit, Michigan. So, yes, he is actually an American citizen. Now, he's been asking for help from the conservative governor because, as mayor, he is not allowed to just take money and move it to whatever infrastructure project he wants. The state has to approve it. That's part of the problem. But, the water crisis is terrible there. Something has to be done. Also, Camel, is my audio coming out alright? Is it coming out nice and clean? So we've been dealing with a situation. Actually, let me open that one up. So we've been dealing with a situation currently where we've got a Democratic, fairly radical left mayor of a city who has been asking for help and approval for infrastructure projects, specifically for the water treatment plant that is currently fucked, for at least 2 years and has gotten nothing approved. Mayors can't unilaterally do this shit, no matter how many Republicans tell you they can. They can't. You know, I've spoken to mayors before. They actually have some pretty strong limits on what they're allowed to do unilaterally. And since they haven't gotten approval from the conservatives, they have a terrible water crisis. Okay, let's see how that works. Okay, well, I'm gonna wait for this to get to where I'm currently at, and we'll take a listen. Not great. Okay, I don't know exactly what's going on. I got some new audio stuff. Sorry. I will figure that out soon, hopefully. Maybe it just comes down to some connections not being correct. I've got, I changed up my entire setup in my living room, so had to move stuff. As a matter of fact, I could just show you that. So, I used to sit over there, and right behind me is where my drums were, and now they are over there. Kind of light right there, but yeah, my drums are over there, and over there is right on the other side of this wooden thing are speakers. It's the microphones. That's all for band practice stuff. So, the hope here is that. Ooh, wait, maybe I did the wrong one. Turn off the noise suppression. Turn on the limiter. Let's see how that works. Anyways, like I said, we've got we've got the water crisis that is something we have to that is actually being worked on now. They finally managed, because there's national attention being paid to it. works some, but not enough, I think. Let me come here, hit the limiter, threshold, bring that threshold back, bring that release up. Okay, so what I think we're working with right now should, I hope that works. Let's see. It's not as loud as I'd like it to be. Weird. Anyways, the big thing here is that the Republicans are finally taking action on something they could have preemptively fixed a long fucking time ago, that the Democratic mayor of the city has been asking for help with, and that is a problem, because it's only when big attention gets paid to something and they can try and spin it as the Democrat not doing enough that anything gets done if Republicans are in charge. So they have failed to take action in any in any sense until scrutiny was put on the situation. They also failed to cover their horrible their footprints, their tracks on this one, because there's evidence that they've been asked to help with this situation previously, and nothing was done. And they've been complaining about the infrastructure of the city for a long time, and again, mayors can't just unilaterally decide on infrastructure projects for the city, because that affects the entire state. So they have to get state approval. I don't know why people just don't get this concept, but it's pretty fucking pretty sad, really. So, moving on to the next thing, I'm gonna plug. You know what? I should probably just do this. Go here and sign up if you're in the U.S. for canvassing efforts. Look at that. Look at that. This is all the people who have signed up from Vosh's community to do canvassing. Look at that. Oh, and they added the nations based on previous agreements. That the courts upheld. Just Arizona has so much going on. Oh yeah, and the markers here are candidates that they're working on trying to yeah, these are the candidates they're trying to canvass for. So my state doesn't have any. A lot of other states don't have any that they've picked up yet. And it's a little sad because my state, right here, is super fucking conservative. So they're redirecting all of our efforts to other areas, which is fine, but still. Transcell Squad. We do need to get people out canvassing. We need text bank, phone bank, all of that. I am a fan of democracy. I know there are other anarchists who are less inclined to be fans of democracy, but I think they don't understand certain concepts, like you literally don't have to vote. You don't have to. But it follows the same rule as what we have now, where if you don't vote and a decision is made, and the majority, which can be set at higher than 50%, that's a variable number. You could have the majority set to 87% or 93% or 98% or whatever. Which, if it's a 100% thing, that is also called consensus, but they keep trying to separate and make new words and be like, no, consensus is different from democracy. No, consensus can fall under the category of democracy, okay? Democracy is rule by the people. We want rule by the people, the proletariat, mainly, by the individual, by everyone. We want participation in society. We don't need a state. We do want to have generalized guidelines of what we're doing and how we're directing resources. I'm a fan of the idea of gift economies. But here's the deal. You can't take the world as it is right now, get rid of the state, and just leave it at that. You can't do that. Because do you know what the fuck happens? Everyone vies for that slot. And the people who have the most power currently, outside of those who are in control of the state, are the ones who get it. So it will either be the military or the corporations. And either way, that's fucking bad. So what we have to do is take steps. We have to organize in local communities and show people anarchist principles are something worth believing in. Show them what we can do. One of the things that I'm trying to organize here for my city is a giant cookout for homeless people. Yeah, it's not the biggest thing that could be done, but it's something that I have the power to be able to organize, to be able to set up food somewhere and feed homeless people. Not go to a soup kitchen or anything like that. Literally just go to where they are with food and give them food. Try and have a bunch of it. So they can eat a hot, cooked meal right there. Near their belongings. They can take the food back to where they are staying, the tent or whatever, if they're in a certain area, and just eat there at their technical home. I'm going to use the term home now because that's where they're staying. And I want to try and get donations and whatnot. Not necessarily monetary donations, but if I can try and get all this organized and set up and get donations for at the very least more tents that can withstand an Oklahoma rain, because the ones that are made for Walmart that are actually kind of cheap will not stand up to it'll rain once, those will be destroyed. And, I mean, fuck, it'd be great if we could get a field that's for lease or something and start trying to build single-family homes. Or, like, apartments or something. For homeless people. Just, here you go. These are built for you. Because that's one of the big things. Like, I hate capitalism, but we have to be able to work to be able to dismantle that. It currently exists. You have to work. One of the biggest things that bars homeless people from employment at this point in time is the lack of an address. The lack of the ability to shower and clean yourself and your clothing. It's not an easy thing to deal with, you know? And it does take a toll on your mental health. Like, it really does. Being homeless is stressful, terrifying, depressing. So, like, I'm going to be pulling up another video after this because I consider the guy who debated Vosh, the Yankee Tanky, a conservative, using leftist rhetoric to cloak himself. But that's about it. I'll be pulling up that debate. I do feel bad for him. He's got health issues, and he's homeless, and he was in a cult. That's really fucking depressing. Not just for me, but for him. But thinking about that, I do feel bad. This is actually one of the things I kind of disagree with Vosh on. It's like, if he's actively posting a thing, I mean, I get the spamming not being tolerated, but if he posts a Cash App link or whatever, asking for donations so he can try and get off the fucking streets, I can't necessarily say that that's bad. Like, yeah, he's bad morally, but that doesn't mean he deserves to be on the streets. Now, will I donate to him? I don't have money to fucking donate to people. So, no. Would I berate any leftist for donating to him? No. No. I understand. Trying to help somebody in a bad situation out. I don't think he's a Nazi, which are worse than just a regular fascist. But no, I wouldn't get mad at a lefty for donating to a Patreon or a GoFundMe or just dropping money in the Cash App of somebody like Yankee Tanky. Even though I find him fairly deplorable. He's fairly despicable morally. But that's where the anarchist principles I live by come into play. It's like, just fucking maybe showing people this works and showing the effects it has on community and the world will definitely change some minds. I do believe that. Do I think it'll do all the work for us? Just showing people that mutual aid can work? Just showing people that anarchism as a principle can work? I don't think it'll change everybody's mind. I really don't. But I do think it will bring over a lot more of the liberal groups. Even social democrats, like, I think they're going to be the easiest to pull over to anarchism if you just kind of like, mainly anarcho-syndicalism. Let's be a little bit more specific here. I think anarcho-syndicalism is what we could get sock dams on. Because, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I'm a big fan of the technology and stuff that we currently have. And that's only really able to be produced in the kind of work we have. Like, the labor, the way we perform our labor. Those kind of factories, yeah, we need to change them to green energy and do some changes to the way we make production. But I like my computers. I do think that we overproduce on some stuff that is completely and wholly unnecessary. I really do. That's where degrowth comes in. You kind of look and go, are these things not just unnecessary, but being overproduced? How many of them are actually wanted? How many go to waste? and then you just cut back production on that. You go, okay, well, this doesn't look like it's going to be really needed. You know, people aren't really going to be vying for it. So we're only going to make so many. And yes, this sounds like creating artificial scarcity, but without any money, like, just no need for it. You go, hey, I would like a fucking whatever the new graphics card is, and you walk up to the whatever Anarcho Best Buy, and you go, yeah, I'd like to get one of these, and they go, okay, here you go. You know what's great? You know what's absolutely wonderful? Is that a society that doesn't have money as a basis for acquiring things? Really? You don't have theft. At least not in that regard. Because, I mean, if somebody needs it, they go get it. If somebody wants it, they go get it. It's brilliant. But we are about 30 minutes in at this point, and so I am going to move on over. And let's do this. Wait, I could do that on my phone. Give me a second. Get my phone set up to remote run my Streamlabs, because that's the thing. It's the main reason I use Streamlabs. I don't have a Stream Deck or anything. I am poor, so let's go. All right. So Biden, what has he done as a president? He's done some good stuff. He's done some not so good stuff. He's been fairly milquetoast on all issues. Student debt relief that was very much a neoliberal fucking micromanage policy that was means tested and whatnot. Of course, you know, it's Biden. He's a neoliberal. However, I think something has awoken in him. And Dark Brandon is no longer a meme. He's actually come out and done some pretty base shit. And then he decided that he was just going to come out and give a speech on democracy. And I didn't know about this. I was really fucking busy the other day. I found out about it, and then I went back and watched it. And, well, you see, I'll save the reactions and stuff. I'll let you know. We're going to be kind of going through this. So, this is Biden going off, spitting fire. he is giving off a nationalistic tone, but as the president, you kinda have to do that. It's not something that I really like. I'm not a fan of nationalism. I think it promotes brain rot. But, as the president, especially of a capitalist imperialist nation, you have to appeal to that sentiment to be able to get any sort of message across. It's not the same kind of nationalism that, conservatives go for, but it is still nationalism, and thus pretty bad in my eyes, but, I understand the reasoning.
We, the people, these two documents and their ideas they embody, equality and democracy, are the rock upon which this nation is built. They're how we became the greatest nation on earth. They're why, for more than 2 centuries, America has been a beacon to the world. As I stand here tonight, equality and democracy are under assault. We do ourselves no favor to pretend otherwise. So tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation about the threats we face, about the power we have in our own hands to meet these threats, and about the incredible future that lies in front of us if only we choose it. Let's never forget, we the people are the true heirs of the American experiment that began more than 2 centuries ago. We the people have burning inside of each of us the flame of liberty that was lit here at Independence Hall. The flame.
You see, his is more of a, we are all free, we all yearn for liberty, we all have the same desire that was started here. So that's where the nationalism bit comes in, where he's playing up the America bit. He does it throughout the entire speech. But honestly, there's been worse indications of this. More recently, even.
We lit our way through abolition, the Civil War, suffrage, the Great Depression, world wars, civil rights. That sacred flame still burns. Now in our time, as we build an America that is more prosperous, free and just. That is the work of my presidency, a mission I believe in with my whole soul. But first, we must be honest with each other and with ourselves. Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up.
So, yeah, hear that.
Too much of what's happening in our country today is not normal. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. Now, I want to be very clear up front. Not every Republican, not even the majority of Republicans are MAGA Republicans. Not every Republican embraces their extreme ideology. I know.
So, he has to play into the bipartisanship bit here, even though I'm pretty sure he doesn't even believe it, having seen the percentage of Republicans who voted for Donald Trump. However, if he wants to appear bipartisan, especially if they are gonna arrest Trump, he has to. Like, he has to be present bipartisanship by being like, no, 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 only the MAGA Republicans, which isn't even a majority of you. They're a loud, vocal minority who are a threat to the foundation of this country. Now, I'm going to go ahead and, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I am going to bring up a concept that is pretty interesting, really. It's called it's a liberal notion called the end of history, where they believe that like American democracy will be forever. It's gonna last literally forever, and that we don't need to progress any further. That this is where history ends. This is it. This is the best we can do. And they presuppose that our democracy will last literally until the end of time. It's a bullshit notion. But a lot of liberals they have that belief. So, I want to bring up that concept so you're aware of it.
Because I've been able to work with these mainstream Republicans. But there's no question that the Republican Party today is dominated, driven, and intimidated by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans. And that is a threat to this country. These are hard things. But I'm an American president. Not a president of red America, blue America, but of all America. And I believe it's my duty to level with you, to tell the truth, no matter how difficult, no matter how painful. And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. They do not believe in the rule of law. They do not recognize the will of the people.
Based.
They refuse to accept the results of a free election.
Based Biden calling out Republicans, the MAGA Republicans, calling them out for not respecting the Constitution, for being whiny babies. Yeah, it's great.
And they're working right now, as I speak, in state after state, to give power to decide elections in America to partisans and cronies, empowering election deniers to undermine democracy itself. MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love. They promote authoritarian leaders and they fan the flames of political violence.
See, he's fucking spitting. It's great. We need more of this. Like, I think he's seen the Dark Brandon memes and just absorbed them. I do. I did. I looked this up last night and I watched it. And I'm just sitting there like, where the fuck did this come from?
That are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They look at the mob that stormed the United States Capitol on January 6th, brutally attacking law enforcement, not as insurrectionists who placed a dagger at the throat of our democracy, but they look at them as patriots. And they see their MAGA failure to stop a peaceful transfer of power after the 2020 election as preparation for the 2022 and 2024 elections. They tried everything last time to nullify the votes of 81 million people. This time, they're determined to succeed in thwarting the will of the people. That's why.
He's correct. They are gearing up to try more shit. It's been noticeable. If you look at any of their forums, that's what they're gearing up to do. If you look at the exposés that fucking based ass Antifa infiltrators have been able to grab and put out from their like private Telegram groups and shit like that. That's pretty much what they want to do. That's what they're trying to gear up to do, is to be able to interfere with the 2022 election and the 2024 election, to be able to put people that they want in those seats to dismantle democracy. That's it. They think democracy is cringe. They want authoritarianism. And that's awful. Democracy, way better. Democracy, great. Direct democracy is the best form of democracy, in my opinion. Under an anarcho-syndicalist society. Let's go.
Respected conservatives, like Federal Circuit Court Judge Michael Ludwig, has called Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans both a clear and present danger to our democracy. But while the threat to American democracy is real, I want to say as clearly as we can, we are not powerless in the face of these threats. We are not bystanders in this ongoing attack on democracy. There are far more Americans, from every background and belief, who reject the extreme MAGA ideology than those that accept it. And folks, it is within our power, it's in our hands, yours and mine, to stop the assault on American democracy. I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those moments that determine the shape of everything that's to come after. And now, America must choose to move forward or to move backwards. To build a future or obsess about the past. To be a nation of hope and unity and optimism. Or a nation of fear, division, and of darkness. MAGA Republicans have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. But together we can choose a different path. We can choose a better path. Forward to the future. A future of possibility, a future to build and dream and hope. And we're on that path moving ahead. I know this nation. I know you, the American people. I know your courage. I know your hearts. And I know our history.
He knows your thoughts. He knows your soul.
This is a nation that honors our Constitution. We do not reject it. This is a nation that believes in the rule of law. We do not repudiate it.
Personal difference there a bit, you know. There's quite a bit involved in the process of our laws that I don't like. However, the base principle of having a system of governance that people, rules that people follow as a society generally, is fairly nice. Just like the general ones, don't murder or rape or steal from people. Because, like, personal property is still a thing. Even under anarchism, you can have possessions. You don't own private property, which is business. Or housing that you use to rent out to other people. Because no rent. Because fuck you, you don't need to be taking a vital resource from people and selling it back to them.
This is a nation that respects free and fair elections. We honor the will of the people. We do not deny it. And this is a nation that rejects violence as a political tool. We do not encourage violence. We are still an America that believes in honesty and decency and respect for others. Patriotism, liberty, justice for all, hope, possibility. We are still at our core a democracy. democracy is guaranteed. But it's not. We have to defend it, protect it, stand up for it. Each and every one of us. That's why tonight I'm asking our nation to come together, unite behind the single purpose of defending our democracy regardless of your ideology. Well,
Hold on. Gotta find it. That'll pull it up fine. How did I miss that, G? Where's that fucking clip? Whatever. Don't care. Let's go.
call by duty and conscience to confront.
I was gonna say he's calling for the looters, the rioters, the anarchists, the arsonists, and people who generally have no clue what is going on.
Extremists will put their own pursuit of power above all else. Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans. We must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving American democracy.
Yeah.
The MAGA Republicans are to destroying American democracy. We, the people, will not let anyone or anything tear us apart. Today, there are dangers around us. We cannot allow to prevail. We here, you've heard it, more and more talk
God damn
about
it.
violence as an acceptable political tool.
What do you think the two guys behind you are a part of? What do you think the police are a part of? They are a political tool. All policing is.
In this country. It's not. It can never be.
To answer that, it's they're forms of political violence. The military, which is directly under the fucking president, and the police, who uphold law written by Congress, a political institution. Yeah, they're acts of political violence when they do literally anything.
Acceptable tool. So I want to say this plain and simple. There is no place for political violence in America. Period. None. Ever.
And what do you think the Civil War was? It was political violence. That's what war is. Because it's politics.
We saw law enforcement brutally attacked on January the 6th. We've seen election officials, poll workers, many of them volunteers of both parties, subject to intimidation and death threats. And can you believe it? FBI agents, just doing their job as directed, facing threats to their own lives from their own fellow citizens.
Okay, so hear me out now. Is that not part of their job? They're the FBI. They investigate people in the country who are usually dangerous. And that is a threat to their safety, their lives, when they go after them. So that's literally part of their job. I'm just saying. Think about that one for just a second.
On top of that, there are public figures today, yesterday, the day before, predicting and all but calling for mass violence and rioting in the streets. This is inflammatory. It's dangerous. It's against the rule of law. And we, the people, must say, this is not who we are. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American. They're incompatible. We can't allow violence to be normalized in this country. It's wrong. We each have to reject political violence.
Violence is a tool. How it's used can be wrong. But violence is a tool. Again, the police are a violent institution. What they do, by every definition, is violent. But when they arrest a rapist in the middle of the act, well, that's a justified use of violence. If you're getting assaulted and you kill the other person in self-defense, that is a justified act of violence. Violence is a tool. It can be good or bad. Well, it can be used in different ways that can be good or bad based on outcome and reasoning why.
With all the moral clarity and conviction this nation can muster. Now, we can't let the integrity of our elections be undermined, for that is a path to chaos. Look, I know politics can be fierce and mean and nasty in America. I get it. I believe in the give and take of politics, in disagreement and debate and dissent. We're a big, complicated country. But democracy endures only if we, the people, respect the guardrails of the republic. Only if we, the people, accept the results of free and fair elections. Only if we, the people, see politics not as total war, but mediation of our differences. Democracy cannot survive when one side believes there are only two outcomes to an election. Either they win or they were cheated. And that's where the MAGA Republicans are today. They don't understand what every patriotic American knows. You can't love your country only when you win. It's fundamental. American democracy only works only if we choose to respect the rule of law and the institutions that were set up in this chamber behind me. Only if we respect our legitimate political differences. I will not stand by and watch. I will not.
Notice how he said legitimate political differences. Because some differences that you claim are just differences of opinion, while in a very technical sense true, are not differences of opinion when you're just rejecting reality on things and being a bigot in the process. Especially that one. So,
The will of the American people be overturned by wild conspiracy theories and baseless evidence-free claims of fraud. I will not stand by and watch elections in this country stolen by people who simply refuse to accept that they lost. I will not stand by and watch the most fundamental freedom in this country, the freedom to vote, and have your vote counted and be taken from you and the American people. Look,
like, nothing wrong there.
as your president, I will defend our democracy with every fiber of my being, and I'm fair. They spread fear and lies. Lies told for profit and power. But I see a different America. An America with an unlimited future. An America that's about to take off. I hope you see it as well. Just look around. I believe we can lift America from the depths of COVID. So we passed the largest economic recovery package since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And today America's economy is faster, stronger than any other advanced nation in the world. We have more to go. I believe we can build a better America. So we passed the biggest infrastructure investment since President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And we now embark on a decade of rebuilding the nation's roads, bridges, highways, ports, water systems, high-speed internet, railroads.
Yeah, that actually is a pretty good thing too. I've seen some of the road works happening because some of the worst areas are supposed to be targeted first, and Oklahoma is fucking horrid. Our infrastructure is so bad. It's honestly very astonishing.
I believe we can make America safer. So we passed the most significant gun safety law since President Clinton. I believe we can go from being the highest cost of prescriptions in the world to making prescription drugs and healthcare more affordable. So we passed the most significant healthcare reform since President Obama.
Where is my not even, where's the public option you campaigned on? Where's an actual public option?
Signed the Affordable Care Act. And I believe we could create a clean energy future and save the planet. So we passed the most important climate initiative ever, ever, ever. The cynics and the critics tell us nothing can get done. But they're wrong. There is not a single thing America cannot do. Not a single thing beyond our capacity if we do it together. It's never easy. But we're proving in America, no matter how long the road, progress does come. Look,
So there's something very fundamental here that I do want to point out. Trump, when he had hecklers, would quickly call security on them to get him out. Biden's letting this guy just go. So like, go for it. I'm going to just keep speaking, and I'm going to talk about democracy and upholding my values. And it's a very stark contrast.
I know the last few years have been tough, but today, COVID no longer controls our lives. More Americans are working than ever. Businesses are growing. Our schools are open. Millions of Americans have been lifted out of poverty. Millions of veterans once exposed to toxic burn pits will now get what they deserve for their families and the compensation. American manufacturers come alive across the heartland, and the future will be made in America. No matter what the white supremacists and the extremists say, I made a bet on you, the American people, and that bet is paying off, proving that from darkness, the darkness of Charlottesville, of COVID, of gun violence, of insurrection, we can see the light.
Of Charlottesville. Yeah.
And that bet is paying off, proving that from darkness, the darkness of Charlottesville, of COVID, of gun violence, of insurrection, we can see the light. Light is now visible. Light that will guide us forward. Not only in words, but in actions. Actions for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, for America. Even in this moment, with all the challenges we face, I give you my word as a Biden, I've never been more optimistic about America's future.
This speech is it's honestly really good. Like, it's really good.
Not because of maybe because of who you are. We're going to end cancer as we know it. Mark my words. We're going to create millions of new jobs in a clean energy economy. We're going to think big. We're going to make the 21st century another American century.
Clean energy. If he really fully fucking commits to that and just dumps the resources needed into getting it done, yeah, we'll be so much better off.
Because the world needs us to. That's where we need to focus our energy. Not in the past, not on divisive culture wars, not on the politics of agreements, but on the future we can build together. The MAGA Republicans believe that for them to succeed, everyone else has to fail. They believe America, not like I believe about America. I believe America is big enough for all of us to succeed. And that is the nation we're building, the nation where no one is left behind.
Anarcho-communist Joe. Anarcho-Bidenism. Let's go. Note the red and the black. He's talking about equality for everybody. Everyone's going to be able to succeed. Everyone's going to be wealthy. Yeah. Fucking great. Based. Anarcho-Bidenist.
I ran for president because I believe we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. I still believe that to be true. I believe the soul is the breath, the life, and the essence of who we are. The soul is what makes us us. The soul of America is defined by the sacred proposition that all are created equal in the image of God. That all are entitled to be treated with decency, dignity, and respect. That all deserve justice and a shot at lives of prosperity and consequence. And that democracy must be defended, for democracy makes all these things possible. Folks, and it's up to us. Democracy begins in what we preserve, and we, the people's habits of the heart, in our character, optimism that is tested yet endures, courage that digs deep when we need it, empathy that fuels democracy, the willingness to see each other not as enemies but as fellow Americans. Look, our democracy isn't perfect. It always has been. Notwithstanding those folks you hear on the other side there, they're entitled to be outrageous. This is a democracy. But history and common sense.
See? Yeah, just calling them out. It's like, yeah, they're fucking allowed to be ridiculous. It's a democracy, but, I mean, look at them. Like, shit, yeah. You're also entitled to make fun of them. Go for it.
Good manners is nothing they've ever suffered from. But history and common sense tell us that opportunity, liberty, and justice for all are most likely to come to pass in a democracy. We've never fully realized the aspirations of our founding.
The most base part coming up right here. It's true. And also, that right there is a hint at Marxism. Yeah, buddy, let's go. You see, he just mentioned that equality and liberty were really only possible through advancing in democracy, and Marx said the exact same thing. He was like, yeah, American democracy has a pretty good chance of not having to have a violent revolution and literally voting themselves into it. Marx believed this. Karl Marx wrote this down. He believed it that strongly. He thought that favorably of America's democracy. Now people will be like, oh, but Lenin said, yeah, well, Lenin was also wrong, because guess what? We can always just fucking shut down the accumulated power of the capitalists with a good worker party. America has a chance of doing it. Still, to this day, we really do. I believe it. Will we potentially have to have clashes with, like the far right and shit? That's probably. I don't know. I don't know. Given the climate right now and how fucking violent they seem to be, yeah, probably. Which is why everything we do can be considered self-defense. Because we never have to instigate anything. We just have to exist. Get pepper spray. See a fucking LARPy-ass shield wall being aggressive and harassing people? Just walk by.
But every generation has opened those doors a little bit wider to include more people than excluded before. My fellow Americans, America is an idea, the most powerful idea in the history of the world, and it beats in the hearts of the people of this country. It beats in all our hearts. It unites America. It is the American creed, the idea that America guarantees that everyone be treated with dignity. It gives hate no safe harbor. It installs in everyone the belief that no matter where you start in life, there's nothing you can't achieve. That's who we are. That's what we stand for. That's what we believe. And that's precisely what we're doing. Opening doors, creating possibilities, focusing on the future. And we're only just beginning. Our task is to make our nation free and fair, just and strong, noble and whole. And this work is the work of democracy, the work of this generation. It is the work of our time, for all time. We can't afford to leave anyone on the sidelines. We need everyone to do their part. So speak up, speak out, get engaged, vote, vote, vote. And if we do our duty, in 2022 and beyond, then ages still to come will say, we, all of us here, we kept the faith. We preserved democracy. We heeded our worst. We heeded not our worst instincts, but our better angels. We proved that for all its imperfections, America is still the beacon to the world, an ideal to be realized, a promise to be kept. There's nothing more important.
So, you know what? I'll just let him finish. There's not that much left.
Nothing more sacred. Nothing more American. That's our soul. That's who we truly are. And that's who we must always be. I have no doubt, none, that this is who we will be. And that we'll come together as a nation that will secure our democracy. That for the next 200 years, we'll have what we had the past 200 years, the greatest nation on the face of the earth. We just need to remember who we are. We are the United States of America. The United States of America. And may God protect our nation, and may God protect all those who stand watch over our democracy. God bless you all. Democracy. Thank you.
So, two things. One, Biden, up until now, has ended every single speech or address he's given with, may God protect our troops. And this time he said, may God protect those who watch over our democracy. Very different. For two, the most prosperous and best time for a majority of people in this country, asterisks applied, was during the 40 years of Democrat rule. There were still problems, but that is when material conditions for the average person was best. It was just if you just look at the material conditions of the average person, there you go. We still had problems because there was still, like a shitload of racism and whatnot. But the policies that Democrats had enacted in terms of economics broadly, FDR, and the continuation of those policies were what made us what we became in the, you know, all the way up until fucking Nixon. Which, yeah, like I said, big asterisks. But that was like the most prosperous time and shit for the country. Improved the material conditions a shitload. Yeah, there were problems. I'm not gonna gloss over those. I'm just making the broader point. With our current, um, I want to phrase this the best possible way. With the reduction in outright bigotry, racism, and harmful laws, reduction, not elimination of, reduction. I feel that those kinds of policies, again, the economic ones that boosted the economy of America under FDR and shit, would actually help out a lot for the average person. It would. It really would. So that was honestly an incredible speech for Biden. it, I, I don't have a whole lot more to say that I didn't already. It could have been better. I didn't like the nationalism bits, but I understand the reasoning he had to put him in. But overall, yeah, Dark Brandon Rising. Let's go. All right. I want to show you one thing. Check it out. I got a little octopus. He's got his eyes and stuff. Real big eyes. And then he's super balanced. Like he can just sit on my head. Super great. But that's all I'm gonna cover right now. Let me go ahead and just do this, and that'll be it. So y'all have a great night. Um, take care of yourselves, and I will see you later.